In Other Worlds is not a catalogue of science fiction, a grand theory about it, or a literary history of it. It is not a treatise, it is not definitive, it is not exhaustive, it is not canonical. It is not the work of a practicing academic or an official guardian of a body of knowledge. Rather, it is an exploration of my own lifelong relationship with a literary form, or forms, or subforms, both as reader and as writer. I say lifelong, for among the first things I wrote as a child might well merit the initials SF. Like a great many children before and since, I was an inventor of other worlds. Mine were rudimentary, as such worlds are when you're 6 or 7 or 8, but they were emphatically not of this here and now earth, which seems to be one of the salient features of SF. I wasn't much interested in Dick and Jane. The creepily ultra-normal characters did not convince me. Saturn was more my speed, and other realms even more outlandish. Several-headed, man-eating marine life seemed more likely to me, somehow, than Spot and Puff. Our earliest loves, like revenants, have a way of coming back in other forms, or to paraphrase Wordsworth, the child is mother to the woman. To date, as what I am pleased to think of as an adult, I have written 3 full-length fictions that nobody would ever class as sociological realism: The Handmaid's Tale, Oryx and Crake, and The Year of the Flood. Are these books science fiction, I am often asked, though sometimes I am not asked but told. I am a silly nit or a snob or a genre trader for dodging the term, because these books are as much science fiction as 1984 is, whatever I might say. But is 1984 as much science fiction as The Martian Chronicles, I might reply. I would answer not, and therein lies the distinction. Much depends on your nomenclatural allegiances, or else on your system of literary taxonomy. Back in 2008, I was talking to a much younger person about science fiction. I'd been asked by the magazine New Scientist to answer the question, is science fiction going out of date? But then I realized that I couldn't make a stab at the answer because I didn't really grasp what the term science fiction meant anymore. Is this term a corral with real fences that separate what is clearly science fiction from what is not? Or is it merely a shelving aid, there to help workers in bookstores place the book in a semi-accurate or at least lucrative way? If you put skin-tight black or silver clothing on a book cover, along with some jet-like flames and or colorful planets, does that make the work science fiction? What about dragons and manticores, or backgrounds that contain volcanoes, or atomic clouds, or plants with tentacles, or landscapes reminiscent of Hieronymus Bosch? Does there have to be any actual science in such a book, or is the skin-tight clothing enough? These seemed to me to be open questions. This much younger person, let's call him Randy, which was in fact his name, did not have a hard and fast definition of science fiction, but he knew it when he saw it, kind of. As I told New Scientist, for Randy, and I think he's representative, sci-fi does include other planets, which may or may not have dragons on them. It includes the wildly paranormal, not your aunt table-tilting or things going creak, but shapeshifters and people with red eyeballs and no pupils, and things taking over your body. Here I myself would include such items as body snatchers, if of extraterrestrial rather than folkloric provenance, and pod people, and heads growing out of your armpits, though I'd exclude common and garden variety devils, and demonic possession, and also vampires and werewolves, which have literary ancestries and categories all their own. As I reported in my New Scientist article, for Randy, sci-fi includes, as a matter of course, spaceships and mad scientists, and experiments gone awfully wrong. Plain ordinary horror doesn't count, chainsaw murderers and such. Randy and I agreed that you might meet one of those walking along the street. It's what you definitely would not meet walking along the street that makes the grade. Randy judged such books in part by the spacescapes and leathery or silvery outfits on their covers, which means that my speculations about jacket images are not entirely irrelevant. As one friend's child put it, looks like milk, tastes like milk, it is milk. Thus, looks like science fiction, has the tastes of science fiction, it is science fiction.